All right, let's get right into it. Today we're going to completely re-examine our ancient past. We're unpacking a theory that suggests the history we all learned in school, well, it might just be the tip of a very, very big iceberg. And what's underneath could seriously change how you see, well, everything.
You know this line, right? It's that iconic moment from The Matrix. But what if it wasn't just a clever bit of sci-fi? What if that line is pointing to a literal truth about our reality? That's the wild idea we're going to chase down today.
I know, that's a huge question. But as we're about to see, there are a lot of weird anomalies and just missing pieces in our historical record that are really, really hard to ignore. So think of this as a collection of clues to a puzzle that's been hiding in plain sight all along.
Okay, so first up, let's look at the evidence. The stuff that suggests major parts of our recent past haven't just been forgotten, they've been actively erased. We're talking about massive civilizations and structures that were just common knowledge a few centuries ago. Okay, for example, take a look at the towers of Bologna, Italy. This drawing is from the 1700s, and it looks like something straight out of a fantasy world, right? We're told that until just a couple of centuries ago, Bologna had over 200 of these incredible towers, some of them soaring 50 meters into the sky.
And today, they're gone, just vanished. It really makes you wonder, what else has just disappeared without a trace? But believe me, this is just one tiny piece of a much, much larger puzzle.
You know, if you start digging into old maps, like anything before the 1800s, you'll see this vast, sprawling empire. It covered huge parts of Asia and way beyond. It was called the Tartarian Empire, and back then it was documented everywhere as a major global power.
And yet today, it's completely gone from our history books. A whole global empire just poof, vanished from the official record. It kind of suggests that the history we're being fed might be an ongoing project of, well, manipulation. So the big question is, why? What were they trying so hard to hide?
And this leads us to this huge, central problem with the mainstream story we're told about history. There's this glaring contradiction between what they say ancient people were like and the absolutely incredible things they left behind.
So, on one hand, the official story is that the ancients were pretty primitive, using basic copper chisels and simple tools. But on the other hand, we have the physical evidence. Countless megalithic sites carved with this impossible precision that, let's be honest, our modern technology would have a really hard time replicating. The two stories just don't line up. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. A massive discovery down in southern Africa might actually hold the key to unlocking this entire mystery. It completely shifts our focus from just questioning the past to maybe finding a real technological answer. Over 10 million. 10 million of these stone ruins have been identified across southern Africa. Just let that number sink in for a second. 10 million. We're not talking about a small settlement here. This is the largest single cluster of ancient ruins found anywhere on Earth.
And the way they're built is just weird. They're all clustered together, almost like cells. They have no doors or entrances, which pretty much tells you they weren't for living in. And this is the most important part. They're all connected by thousands of miles of channels, forming this giant spiderweb-like grid. What on earth were these things for?
And this was the huge breakthrough. The moment these structures stopped being just ruins and started looking like a form of incredibly advanced technology. The secret wasn't in what they were, but in what they could do. And the key to it all? It was sound. So it turns out the stones they used to build these things have these incredible acoustic properties. You could literally tap them, and they ring like bells. And with that one discovery, the whole paradigm just flips on its head. Suddenly, we're not looking at primitive homes anymore. We're looking at a technology based entirely on sound, on resonance, and on frequency. So that discovery in Africa becomes the linchpin, the key to this grand, unified theory that connects ancient sites all over the world. The idea is that they were never separate. They were all part of one single, massive, functional system.
So let's break down how this is all supposed to work. First, the stones are packed with silica. Yep, the same stuff in our computer chips. Second, silica resonates with sound, which means it can store and amplify energy. Third, the theory goes that the circular ruins are actually cymatic patterns, physical shapes created by sound frequencies. Fourth, each ruin basically acts as a plug point to tap into the Earth's own natural energy. And finally, all the big ancient sites you can think of, from Giza to Stonehenge, they're all built on the nodes of this global grid.
A perfect example of this global connection is Adam's calendar in South Africa. It's one of the oldest man-made structures on the entire planet.
And what's just mind-blowing is that it sits on the exact same line of longitude, 31 degrees east, as the Great Pyramid of Giza. I mean, the odds of that being a coincidence are millions to one. It screams deliberate, intelligent, global planning.
But here's the kicker. This whole theory, it doesn't just stop in the ancient past. The idea is that this technology never went away. It just evolved, and now it's hiding in plain sight.
The theory draws a direct line from ancient amphitheaters to those huge medieval cathedrals. It suggests they're basically the same technology. The ancient sites were like these giant circuit boards, right? Activated by the focused sound of crowds. While medieval churches, built on powerful energy lines, were just the next-gen version, designed to harness the incredible acoustic energy of a congregation chanting, singing, and praying.
And the clues, according to this theory, are right there in the architecture. The churches were built on these strategic energy points called ley lines. The pillars and domes, they're not just for support, they're acoustic resonators. The beautiful rose windows are shaped like magnetrons, which amplify frequencies. And those super tall spires, they're basically antennae, focusing and transmitting all that harvested energy.
And this all culminates in the world we live in right now. The theory says our bustling, noisy cities are the ultimate circuit boards. All that sound, the traffic, the construction, the crowds, it's a constant source of energy. We are the fuel. Just like Morpheus said, we are the batteries, powering this whole system simply because we never ever stop making noise.
Which brings us right back to where we started, and it leaves us with one last pretty unsettling question. If this ancient grid is still active, and if all our collective sound is the energy that fuels it, then the most important question isn't how it works, but for whom it works. If we are the power source, who or what is plugging in?